Now then, I would like to welcome to the stage our next speaker, a familiar face from other events of ours. It's Davy Chadwick from PopScreen Games. So a round of applause for Davy.
Okay, you can come in behind. There's some seats that felt like in school. So yeah, today we'll continue on the AI topic, and we wanted to show, we as a studio, what we are producing, what we call Gen AI first, leap to generating content instead of producing it, and really concretely what we can do with all these new tools. So we are three people, founders of PopScreen Games. We are a 20 people studio based in France, and we've been around for more than 20 years, and had the opportunity to work for the big publishers and studios. So this is me, Davy. This is the first picture I did with Stable Diffusion. It was probably more than a year ago. So I swear we do much better things now. But there was already something we saw the power of the tool and how fun it is, and afterward how efficient it can be for mobile gaming. So this is the first game we just released. It's been live for a few months. And this is a handcraft game like we used to do before. I'm showing this for you guys to understand the level of quality we're aiming for with Gen AI. So nothing is generated in this game. So all the games we want to do, AI or without AI, for us need to reach, at one point, not today, this level of quality. So now I'll show you something else. Wacky Battle, this is roughly the budget we have. I'm only talking about content, visual budget. There's obviously music and narrative and all this. It's more than 3,000 images, $1.5 million budget, roughly 24 months and 10 people, most of it being external. So now let me show you something else. Nice, isn't it? So this is the next title we're working on. This is the teaser, which, as you understand, has been completely generated. So what does it mean for us? This teaser has been done by one guy. We have one we call AI designer. 1 day for image generation, 1 day for the animation, and most of the work has been editing, so putting this together, making sure it syncs with the music. So roughly the cost of this teaser is around 2K, which is basically, the guy working on this for 7 days. You'll see on all the slides I have, you see at the bottom the tools we've been using to generate this. So if we look at Wacky Battle and what we want to reach at one point, our Wacky Battle, as you can see on the left, is very expensive in terms of content. All the titles we want to generate, and this is the goal we're having, is to drastically decrease, the cost to the number of people and mostly of the external work and the timing to produce. So the time to market is much slower than what we have with Wacky Battle. So how can we achieve all this? There's 3 points to us. There's the knowledge of the tool. So this is true on every kind of tools, but on AI, especially in a very moving market today, you really need to test and understand. The second part is creative control. You can always brainstorm and do a very nice picture with DALL-E or with GPT-4, but in the end, you cannot integrate it directly into the game. Which brings me from the last point. We are looking for direct integration from generation to integration into the game. If ever there's an in-between phase where an artist or someone else needs to retouch or change, you kind of break in the whole system. So we have two use cases. One is Pet Trainer, the other one is a Space Cruiser. And you'll see it's two different art styles, especially to show you guys that despite the art style you're choosing, the level of quality is acceptable for a game. So let's go with Pet Trainer. So from generation to game implementation. So maybe this sentence, ideas are easy. It's the execution of ideas really separates the sheep from the goats. Well, basically, you can have some ideas, but now you need to make sure to produce them and do the execution. So that was true before. With Gen AI, it's kind of shifting, and I'll show you why we believe this. So let's generate a goat. One, we start with what we call the LoRa, so it's the model fine-tuning. I don't want to be too technical, but basically we have an artist. So this has been handmade. So one of our senior artists produced these 30 handmade sprue characters, and these characters have consistency. So 3/4, chubby, very colorful. So these have been created, and we created with all this the LoRa, which will be the engine to generate. So once we have this LoRa, we can generate a goat. So this one is completely generated. And once we have the LoRa and the pipeline, we can generate all the in-game units we want to put into the game. So all this is generated, and once this is in place, then there's no limit. You can launch a batch of generation in the evening, and in the end, you have thousands of units. The number of artifacts and units we need to cancel are getting lower and lower, thanks to the understanding of the prompts and the quality of the tools. So same for the battleground, very easy. Well, very easy. Very easy now. We have these battlegrounds where we have the lower part, which is simple, where the units will be fighting, and the top part, which is the exciting part. So as you can see, we created this pipeline, and now the same, we can generate as many as we want background for the battle scene. This is a mock-up of the units on the battle scene, and after that, we integrate this into the engine. So one limitation we're having today is the animation. As you can see, the animation is not as nice as in Wacky Battle, but this is for now, and we're already working on some solution for the animation. So the animation here are made in the engine. You can see the idle animation, camera shake and all this, and FX. But still, we're not saying this title could not be sold. For us, this is a level of quality for a specific audience we'll be happy to release. So for us, Pet Trainer is a game we want to publish at one point. Now we have this in-game unit. We need to do the gacha screen and the unit screen. So we have this generated unit. We create with DALL-E, for instance, a fluffy, curly, hairy dog. We'll be using this for the texture. We put all this in the tool, and now we generate the goat, which will be, again, integrated directly into the game engine. And as you can see, the composition of the goat is the same as the small in-game unit. We just added the digital painting, digital painting, and the texture of the dog. So we have this goat integrated into the game. So it's the game screen where you have all the statistics, and you can level up your unit. And this is another example. We did this with, you can see the small unit on the left, which has been generated in-game, and a digital painting version, which is used for the unit screen. Again and again, we can produce more and more. In terms of pace, it's much faster. As long as you have senior people, and I'll talk about this afterwards, training and the need for senior people, artists and designer. But it's very fast to create. Quality guaranteed, as I insist on the fact we don't want to decrease the quality for the audience we're aiming for. Iteration, if you take this one is my favorite. We spent 3 days to iterate to make sure that the background was highlighting the unit as we wanted to. So the amount of work which has been done here with Gen AI is much slower than the work we would have done doing this manually. So I kind of review. I love this one with the big cheeks. And other characters from the game, just to show you these ones are completely different. It's another species for Pet Trainer. So this was Pet Trainer. So again, a very chubby, naive style of game. And we started to look into photorealism. So this is why now we have Space Cruiser as... is he moving? Well, he should be moving, that's fine. Space Cruiser is another game, and we wanted to test a completely different art style to see that, well, if with the same tools we were able to generate this and still keep the quality for a game. So this is the background. This is a battle scene. So we started by generating the background for the battle scene. So we did a few. This is an example of 6. Always the same idea. This is the level of quality we agree on to release the game. We are not downgrading what we want to do. And this has been done with Midjourney, this one, not Stable Diffusion. And a lot of work to iterate on the prompts and make sure that it respects the constraint we have for this type of game. So we have the background, we do the mock-up. This is the UI mock-up with the unit, and this is where we are. We now have, let's say, a one-pager of Space Cruiser on the battle scene. So we created a few units. All this has been done with Midjourney. Again, I'm explaining this is done by Midjourney, but we could have done the same with Stable Diffusion or any other tool. We are trying all the tools available on the market just to be sure not to be locked with one tool. And every now and then we realize that this tool has a new extension which is better than the other one. And we can continuously improve our production pipeline for different assets. Obviously, the pipeline for marketing asset, for a background, for a unit will be different. But once these pipelines are created, we can replicate the work infinitely. So these are the bosses, the enemies. And, well, same idea. This is all fresh. We just finished this last week to have a video prototype to show to this event. So again, you'll see it's still static, but first it's still a very nice looking for a mobile game. We are really talking mobile gaming. And you can see the background. We're using a depth map to see how we can animate and create this bouncing effect. So there's no 3D, it's generated in the game engine and animated. So it's always the same idea, be able to generate content. We are working on RPG. RPG, as you guys know, is everything about content. An RPG, when we love an RPG, we want to play for hours or even years. I mean, who didn't play World of Warcraft for years over years? So everything is a matter of being able to produce the content for the players. Content is cost and time. And now, thanks to Gen AI, we're able to reduce all this. So it's not only about the battle scene. I'm showing another example on the world map. So we're doing some narrative games, so we need a world map where the user is moving forward and seeing stage after stages the rest of the game. So this is the composition work. So this is the map. It's been done in 15 minutes by our senior artist. The idea is not obviously the end quality, but it's the position, the diverse element we'll see on the final map. So this is done really quickly. Again, because it's done quickly because our artists are very senior. And this is not something which is easy to do. It's just quick to produce. So there's really a difference between easy to do and quick to produce. So this goes into the tool. So here we use Stability AI. And in 10 minutes, well, we generated 15 images and we photobashed it to make sure we had the final image we were looking for. This upscaler tool, one we use called Magnific. I didn't even know this one 2 weeks ago. And as you can see, we are reaching a level of quality which is now integratable into the game. And this is the next stage. So for us, now this is a map, this is a region we can now integrate into the game. So at each point, P1, P2, you'll be launching the battle you saw before. And well, basically, this is how we are building the game. We have all the bricks, we have all the game modes, and we are generating the content to feed this and make the game happen. But it's not only about art and visual design. Narrative design for us is a big part, so it's obviously a bit less exciting to show. So it's more interesting pictures and teasers and animation. But narrative design, as we are working on a highly narrative game, is the big thing we're looking into. So I'll give you an example of on how we are creating this narrative pipeline. So let's not forget, we need a tool, so we call it the PopScript. This is our internal tool. It's basically relying on an LLM. We're using GPT-4. We are considering Anthropic Claude 2 for various reasons. We feed this LLM with all the studio blueprints, so all the documentation we have on the games we are producing, and we are prompting in this engine to generate some content. So this is the elements we need for the type of game we are doing. And it's very important to understand we have a sequence of prompting and generation because every item will be fed by what has been produced before. So very clearly, we start with the elemental affinities, fire, water, all this, then the faction, species, characters, etc., down to the dialogues. The dialogues is really the point where you need to have all the background of the characters, of the territories, of the world, to produce the dialogue. So one example for the species, this is the type, it's literally the prompt we're using. I need 10 species for the characters compatible with my faction and element, blah, 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 like humans. Please create all this, give me the name and some description. So this is where we have a senior designer iterating, because it's not automatic. In the end, the content needs to be proofread and driven by a designer, but it's really the execution which is much, much faster. So this is done by a senior designer, and I'll show you a few examples. So we'll start with the bricks. So I generated the elements. So you can see 2, fire and plant, with some description, which has been done with PopScript. Second one, we create some factions which are compatible with the elements, so colonist, Earth command, and some species, replicants and human, compatible with the faction, compatible with the element. So now we have the 3 first bricks. We can build the 4th brick, which is the characters. So here I created 2, so O'Reilly, second in command, and the other one is Marcus. And you can see, well, the name, faction, element, species, description. All this under the supervision of a senior designer. So brick 4, which are the characters, are made by brick 1, 2, or 3. And now we have the description of the unit. Well, obviously we can generate the unit. So it was done with Stability AI, so we're not mid-journey. But now we can generate the picture of the character. And we have the character sheet. So this is what we can now use in our design to build all the rest. And we also have some animation, so there's some new tools allowing us with this photorealistic art style to have these nice animation, because once integrated into the game, and again, this is in the game, you can see the UI, we have this unit screen which is much more lively and exciting than something very, very static. So very photorealism is very rare in mobile game, and now we believe that these tools are allowing us to do this. I'll just put this one back because it's my favorite. But he's scary. He's on my business card, by the way. But it's really, really nice. And we reach a level we could not have imagined just 1 year ago for this level of cost. So now we have all this. I'm going straight down to the dialogues, and I'll show you an example of the dialogue scene we can do.
Lieutenant, do we have any news from Echo 3?
Negative, Commander. Their last subsonic transmission was 16 hours ago, and since then, it's been radio silence.
Darn it. I knew I should have sent spacers with them.
Well,
take Clifford with you and go give them a hand.
Sync problem with
Let's
the
hope
PBT,
nothing unpleasant has happened to them.
So.
Understood, Commander. But may I ask what their mission was?
They were in charge of excavating an ancient artifact discovered on one of our mining planets.
It sounds like a bad horror movie plot, Commander.
Let's hope that's not the case, because I'm sending you to play the lead role.
Well, obviously, if it's not synced, it's a bit less exciting, but trust me, the original video is synced. Anyway, you'll see, we are sharing all this, by the way, so you can see this on our website. So what does it mean? What are the takeaways? Because all this is very nice, but what can we do with this, and what's the conclusion to this? Well, obviously, select the right AI tools. This is very standard, the right Adobe, the right Unity, whatever. So the tool knowledge is very important. As you saw, we are using a lot of different tools. It's a moving environment. I'm not talking about legal, because this is another discussion. And train your writers, design, and artists. Whoever here is an artist, a designer, or a writer, use these tools. I mean, you have gold in your hand, because these tools are just multiplying by 1 million what you guys can do. So very clear, we need senior people, we need to keep artists, we need all this to work together, because otherwise we'll just be generating and not able to select and to challenge if the output is acceptable. Second part, creative control, very, very important to us. We don't want to brainstorm. We want to make sure it goes directly into the game. So it's, for us, a way to reduce the creative barrier. And multimodality, text to image, image to image, voice to text, voice to image, is very important, because depending on the people, you don't have the same creative process. I'm not a very good artist, by the way, but when I explain something to someone, I can use GPT-4 and DALL-E to show a picture of my idea, which really reduces by 10 the amount of iteration. And the last point is direct integration. It's not there to brainstorm. If you work hard on your pipeline, it goes directly into the game. So you can really minimize the friction from generation into the game. And this is where it's very, very interesting. So just to finish, we have a dev blog, so please follow us on this. All the videos I showed you, especially the dialogues, are natively on our website, and we are pushing every 2 weeks, new explanation, new content we've been producing. And obviously, at the end, you'll see our game being released in the coming months. Thank you very much.
Great, and yes, please do go and see the videos running there. We're a tiny little bit over time. I'm going to suggest maybe if there's a question, we can perhaps take one quick question from the audience. There's one down here, and then we'll need to move on because I know our next speaker is waiting. There's the mic coming your way. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. So if you produce 100 goats in a day, let's say, using the AI systems you've talked about, how many of them need manual tweaking by an artist or similar intervention in the output?
None at all.
None at all.
No, that's
Why?
really the point. This is why we work very upfront on the tools, and this is where we need artists to make sure the model, the LoRa we created, needs to be well designed to make sure everything which is generated is acceptable to go into the game. Again, 6 months ago we had to tweak. Now we don't have anymore, and this is where it's a game changer to us.
Perfect. Thank you. We will have to move on, but please do look up Davy on Meet to Match as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Oh, yeah.